Hello everyone, welcome to our webinar. My name is Claus Andersen and I'm Sales Director in Vilofoss. Today's presentation will be given by my colleague Per Teilgaard and the webinar concerning how to reduce spoilage in the feed ration. Per has a background as PhD in animal nutrition and has worked with this area for more than 15 years. During the webinar, it's possible to ask questions in the chat, and after the presentation, Per will try to answer as many questions as possible. Also, the session will be recorded and sent to you afterwards with the presentation. And then I will hand over to you, Per, please.
Thank you very much for the introduction, Klaus. Yes, here today we are going to discuss feed for cows, and how to keep that fresh. Just to give a short demonstration of what it all is. I have cut this grass this morning in my own garden, and let's say that is some roughage that's been cut for the cows last summer. Then this roughage you cut on the grass would have been put into a bunker where you press it very hard. You are driving on the tractors for a long time, so it ends up in the bunker to be very, very compressed like this. And when the grass is compressed like this, then we now have made the condition is anaerobic, no air will come inside, and then the sugar in the grass will be converted to acids, and we have made a good conservation of the grass, and it's very, very stable here for a really long time. So as long as we keep it sealed, so no air enter and no water enter, then it's very, very good conserved, and there will be no growth of bacteria in here. But what happened then when we are going to feed it? Well, then we are taking this roughage. Well, it could be here it's grass. It could also be maize silage, and we put it into the mixer wagon. And as soon as we do that, well, now it's no longer anaerobic condition. We have a lot of air, so it's aerobic condition where the bacteria really grow well in. And more, we are adding, it could be some starch, it could be some wheat, some barley, some carbohydrates, easily accessible carbohydrates, a lot of energy for the microbes. We add that, and often we might also add some molasses here on the top. And molasses is a very, very fast digestible carbohydrate, very good nutrition for the mold and bacteria. And often we might also even add some water to it, or even we do not add water to it. Well, we are now have the feed here in condition with high humidity. And then we mix it in the mixer wagon, and we put it here in front of the cows. So now we have actually created this feed, which is a perfect growth media for unwanted bacteria, and very fast these bacteria will start to convert the sugar, the easy accessible carbohydrates, into multiplication, and that is actually what's generating the heat. So we know that when it's very fresh, the cow find it very palatable, but as soon as it's getting a bit more warm or longer in the afternoon, well, the palatability is probably not as good, and the cow do not really like to have warm feed. So they will decrease the feed intake, and in the end, that will cause a decrease in the milk yield, and that was cost you money during the summer. So I'll just clean my fingers here. And now I want to present some more details on this product, how good it works. Well, so I hope it changed now. What is the solution for preventing heat and the spoilage of the feed? Well, there are some management things you can do. You can feed it out more frequent, maybe feed the cow twice a day instead of once a day. Then it doesn't need to be so many hours in front of the animals, and the heat will not will be as high. You could also feed the cows late in the day, maybe in the afternoon, so it will be in front of the cows during the whole night, instead of doing in the morning where it's more warm and it will be in a more humid environment. But anyway, whatever you try to do on the management side, you'll probably still have some problems that the feed is getting warm. The solution we were going to present here is this product called FreshForce. It's a powder product. It's a mixture between different acids, and this product impairs the condition for the yeast and bacteria, and that is what prevents the heat in the TMR. And that's what we're going to show you here now. The product has been tested by an organization called SEGES. SEGES, that's a Danish Agriculture Advisory Board. They are making advice to farmers, so it's an independent or farmer-owned advisory system. And they tested 4 different solutions to prevent heat in the feed. And one of the solutions was the 3 liter of propionic, that's a liquid propionic acid. That's probably the solution that has been existed for longest time and is widely used worldwide. Here we use 3 liter per ton of TMR. Then the next solution they tested was sodium benzoate. It's not allowed in Europe anyway, but they tested it and still. Then they tested a product called Salvana TMR, made by Trout Nutrition, and then they tested up against the FreshFoss. So it was kind of the test of the main products or solutions that existed at that time on the Danish market. They tested the products in 3 different days, and they did one simple test, just using the hand, putting on the feed in the rest feed, and then detected if they could if it were warm or not. And it was tested on 3 different days here, and you can see the propionic days, the propionic acid. Well, it was warm on all 3 days, and the sodium benzoate, well, the leftover was all warm on all 3 days, and on Salvana, it was warm the first day, warm the second. Only the last time they could not sense any heat with the hands. The only product which was different from the others was the FreshFoss. In none of these 3 days tested, there was any sign of heat in the ration. So it's interesting that just using your hand, just putting a hand on the leftover feed, well, then you can see the difference between this product, because that also showed that it's a strong effect, and it's actually simple to see if you get the effect or not. They also tested the aerobic stability, and I like very much this figure. The aerobic stability, that was defined as the number of hours until the temperature in the ration increased with 2.5 degrees Celsius. And that is what we see here on this figure. The bar here on the very left, it was a control ration with no additive included. And you can see here, well, it was stable for around 8 hours. Then we have the propionic acid, sodium benzoate, and the Salvana product. They were on average, they increased slightly the aerobic stability, and it was stable for around 12 hours on these solutions. And as you can see, the only solution which really made a difference to the other was the FreshForce product. It was stable for 24 hours. It was the only product which was significant different from all the other treatment. These 3 treatments were not significant different from the control ration. So so we can see it is a strong effect here, and it can be tested on very simple way. In the Segis test, they also measured the quantity of aerobic bacteria and the yeast. Here in the fresh ration, you can see we had some low level of aerobic bacteria and yeast, but they're still there. And then the same ration was tested again after 24 hours. Here we have the control, not added any additive, and then we have the additives here below. So this is kind of the control. You can see that here we have there's been an evolution of the number of bacteria and also in the yeast. Well, we can then see just numerical here that the propionic acid, the benzoate, and Salvana, well, they are not really different from the control ration, what you see up here. It's the same as you go here and look at the yeast. Well, you can see that it's slightly different from the control, but it's not, none of them are significantly different. The only solution, a treatment that was significant difference with the FreshForce product. And here we decreased the aerobic bacteria from 8.4 to 7.4, and the yeast from 8.1 to 7.1. And if you look into the variations, you can see here that it's significantly different from the control. And there's no doubt there is a very, very clear correlation between the aerobic bacteria and the heat. It's important to know that if you want to decrease the heat in the ration, you need to decrease the conditions for the aerobic bacteria in your feed. Well, the conclusion of this test was that we found a higher aerobic stability, higher lower load of the bacteria and the yeast, and also that just a simple hand test could test the difference. Besides that, they also stated that the FreshForce is easy to handle, and it's because it's a powder product, it's non-corrosive, and a lot of farmers really prefer a powder product compared to a liquid, as it can be a bit dangerous to bring up propionic acid up to air into a mixer wagon. So it is it's for security of the worker, it's better to use powder products. How does the nutritional values differ between the days? That's kind of what we have investigated here in this next trial. And that has been investigated in a mix where we added FreshForce and in a mix where non-additive was added. That's what we have here, the control. And there is here it's only 12 hours difference. So we took one sample at 7 or 8 in the morning, and then we took the other sample at 7 or 8 in the afternoon. And what we can see here in the control ration, especially the starch has decreased. Here was a 9% lower amount of starch in the afternoon compared to the morning values. And if you see, if you have added the FreshForce, well, it's basically the same in the morning value from the afternoon value. If you look into this, to the energy value in the TMR ration, well, here we have lost about 1.5%. In the FreshForce group, we have not any loss. The sugar, it's decreased 40%. So really a high reduction in the sugar, and that's because that's so easily fermented. So high reduction in the control, whereas non-difference in the FreshForce group. The lactic acid. Lactic acid is a byproduct of a sugar burning. So when the sugar go down, then we expect the lactic acid going up. And that's also what we can see here. So again, that's just another indicator of that there's been a sugar burning, because that have increased here, where the sugar's gone down, whereas here in the FreshForce group, where there's not much different in the sugar, there's not much different in the lactic acid amount neither. And last, digestibility, it was decreased at about 1.7%, whereas in the FreshForce group stayed the same. And it's very interesting this, because when you are formulating a ration for the cows, well, then we formulated after how it is in the fresh. We do not really take into account that there is a degradation of the feed during the day. So of course it's not the same for a cow to eat this ration here compared to the FreshForce ration. So if you eat the same amount of kilograms in the FreshForce, well, you will receive more energy, you will receive more starch, whereas you will in the control group, well, it's just been diluted. You need to eat more of the same TMR ration to get the same nutritional values inside. So that's very interesting, and this is a strong way to prevent that. Well, so far we talked about the milking cows, but there's also other groups on the farm we need to remember, and especially the groups where we might not always feed them every day. We know that some places, some dry cow group, and maybe also the heifers, they might be fed every second day. And when we do that, well, then it's even more important than that you are having some strategies to prevent the heat in this ration. Because in the end, most of the ration will by the time will be degraded. And we know from experience, we have a lot of farmers supplementing the FreshForce to the dry cows and the heifers all year round. That's also during the winter time. Whereas most of the FreshForce sale we have to the dairy cows, well, that's during the summer period. But actually a lot of farmers, they start up using products for the dry cows or for the heifers, as it's probably the place on the farm where they have the biggest problem. And what they see is, they see that it keeps the ration more fresh, and they also see that they have a higher intake of the ration. And how can you test these product or the different solutions out there? Well, there's a different way to do it. Here on the picture, we can see that here it's I have made 4 buckets with TMR ration, and then they compare different product in it. Then here in the middle, I have a thermometer which can log the temperature, and then the day after, 2 days after, I can see how was the difference between these different treatments. Another way you could do it, well, you can buy these thermometer. Has just I have a pencil here, but they basically look the same. You can get some which also can log the temperature, you can put that into a bag and then put it into a bucket with the feed. Then you will also get an idea about how is the temperature evolving in your feed ration. Well, the last way is basic also just to put a hand on the ration and see how, if you can detect any heat, or maybe just to see how much leftover feed did I carry out this morning. There's a lot of indicators of these things. Well, we have a lot of testimonials on this product. They all available on our internet page. And in general, what they say, well, they say it saves hours. You do not have that much leftover feed. They also say, well, we have tried different products. There's a lot of different solutions out there, but they return to it. Well, I believe it's, as we also can see in the SEGES test, but there is different between the solutions. So, and there is no doubt differences in the efficiency between these solutions. So we welcome people to try different solutions on this, because it's easily detectable, the efficiency of this. And then last, well, we also hear a lot of farmers saying that we have an increased feed intake, and that is basically maybe the end result of this product, because we know that we have a higher feed intake, well, then we also have more feed in the tank, and we know that the feed intake is reduced during the summer, and there's a lot of reason for that. And it will always be reduced, and the milk yield will always be reduced just during the heat. But it is important to do as much as we can to prevent this dip. And there's no doubt that if we can have a more concentrated ration and keep in the nutritional value of that for a longer time, then we will have a lower dip in feed intake and also milk yield during the summer period. Here we have the feed instruction. We have this FreshForce Premium product, and that is supplemented with 0.5 to 2 kilograms of this powder per ton of TMR, and that needs to be mixed in with the whole ration. So you need to make sure that it's equally distributed in the whole ration. And this dose is, well, it's a recommendation, a broad recommendation, and we also know that the requirement, well, it differs very much to the temperature, humidity, and the quality of the feed. Well, all farmers, they know that some feed they take out of the bunker, well, it takes heat very fast, and then they can have other feed taking out of the bunker and it just keeps stable. There is so huge differences in the quality of the roughage, so you need to kind of make your own rules on these doses. So this is a very broad recommendation. If you are an organic farmer, then we have this FreshForce Green, which is allowed for organic production, and the dose is the same as the premium product. I can tell you we have a new product on the way. We call that FreshForce Basic, and we have tested that during here the winter period. And it shows actually the same efficiency as a premium product, but so far we have only tested here in the winter period. We are still missing to get it tested on the hot and humid summer condition. But there's no doubt that we will get more results on this product here for this summer period. It's available now, so if it's some of you who want to have a test on it already now, that is possible. That brings us to the summary here. Well, the take-home message is that this FreshForce product, well, it's a way to reduce the heating in the TMR. And the way it does that, it is to reduce the growth of bacteria. It's more important when it's a high temperature, when you add water to the ration, and when it's warm. Remember, the group not fed daily, it's non-corrosive, do not require HACCP, and then we have this special product here for the organic farmers. And that brings me here to the end of this presentation, and I'll be happy to take any questions.
Okay, Per. Thank you very much. And then we are looking for if someone has a question or two for Per's presentation. A very important topic that we have been going through here. In the meantime, if there should come some questions, maybe I can ask Per, is it only usable in the hot months, or is it possible to feed during the year? Is there some advantages of that?
Yeah, well, it's a very good question, because in many rations we are adding water, so it's so we get a higher intake into the cows. And often this amount of water we add, it can be limited to actually to if we get an evolution of the heat in the ration or not. And it's getting more and more a practice to add a lot of water to the ration the whole year round. So even in the winter period, you will find that you can find spoilage of feed actually. So actually, that's actually what you're doing in practice. It is that in areas where you have a high humidity, let's say in the south of Europe, well then they do not add that much water to the ration, because they know that it will explode very, very fast. But here, when you have the FreshForce, then it's allow you to bring more water into the ration. So that's also a way to look into this, that if you are using a product like this, then you are able to add more water to the ration, and by that way the cow will have a high feed intake.
Okay, thank you. And now we have two questions. The first one saying, how is the effect of the organic version compared to the premium?
The effect is the same. It's a different combination, but the efficiency is the same. On the conventional product, we are able to use some other components which have a slightly different in price, and that is that's more or less the biggest difference in these products. That it's we are able to make the conventional product slightly cheaper compared to the organic, and also in the organic version might be a bit stronger and have some smell of acids, what you do not really have in the conventional product.
Okay, the next question says, is it mainly the temperature that affects the bacteria growth? What about moisture?
Well, it's actually both. Well, what creates the heat in the ration? Well, first of all, you bring it out from a very cold environment, and then and bring it out to the ambient temperature. So if that is 20 or 25 degrees, or that's one thing to heat up the ration. And then it's also because you have favored the growth of the bacteria, and that was making most of the heat. And when you then add some water, when you add water to this ration, well, then it's even easier for the bacteria to grow in this environment, because then it's even easier accessible way to the sugar, to basically sugar, what they need to grow. And it is this growth of bacteria what you observe in the heat, and also observe in the degradation of the feed, the nutritional values.
Yes, and the next one is asking, what about solubility? Does FreshForce stay as powder in the ration?
No, it does not. Well, this product is a mix between some salt acids, and when it also is getting mixed into moisture, well, then it's getting dissolved, and then it have an effect. It creates a more harsh environment for the bacteria, so it's more difficult for them to grow. And that's the whole key for this product.
Okay. This was in fact the last question so far, Per. Maybe we should give it half a minute. You're more than welcome to ask Per. Also about other things, I guess, Per, you're ready? Okay, it doesn't seem that we will receive more questions. It's fine. Thanks for asking these questions. Thanks for answering, Per. So then time to rounding off the meeting. It's for sure our hope that this webinar has contributed with some knowledge and insight into the topic, how to reduce heating in the feed ration. More seminars from Vilofoss side will come. The next one will be the 22nd of April concerning heat stress and how it impacts the performance of pigs and how to prevent. We will announce it on our website and social media platforms. There we will bring an invitation in the coming days. So please keep an eye on that. So the last word from my side, thank you again for participating. Hope to see you again. Have a nice day and goodbye.